The Kansas City Chiefs just made 3 moves this week that no one is talking about, and together, they might be the blueprint for their next Super Bowl run. There is a 36-year-old pass rusher with 10.5 sacks last season, 8 Pro Bowl selections, and 15 years of elite production, who is still sitting unsigned in free agency. There is a draft pick that one analyst flat out called the Chiefs' worst selection, then turned around and gave him a B with zero criticism of his actual ability. And there is a quiet roster move connected to Lagos, Nigeria, that gives Kansas City a structural advantage no other team in the league currently has. Every single one of these stories matters. And if you stay until the end, you will understand why there is a free agency window closing fast that could change everything about the 2026 season. Start with the move that almost nobody in the national media has acknowledged. Chukwuebuka Godfrey, a tackle out of Nigeria, has been with the Chiefs organization since 2023. This week, he received an NFL International Player Exemption, and that designation is confirmed in the official league transactions. Here is what that exemption actually means in practical terms. Godfrey does not count against the 90-man preseason roster limit. That means the Kansas City Chiefs are effectively bringing 91 players to training camp. That is one additional body the coaching staff gets to evaluate, develop, and deploy, a structural edge that every other team in the league is locked out of by the standard roster rules. But it goes further. If Godfrey lands on the practice squad, the Chiefs receive a 17th practice squad spot, one more than any standard roster is permitted to carry. For a team that operates with the precision and intentionality that Andy Reid and Veach bring to roster construction, one extra spot is not a small thing. It is a flex point on cut day. It is one more undrafted free agent who gets a legitimate shot at sticking around. It is one more piece of the puzzle that can be evaluated without forcing a difficult decision elsewhere. And Godfrey is not just a developmental name on paper. Last season, when the Chiefs' offensive line was decimated by injuries, Godfrey started 3 regular season games. The coaching staff trusted him with real assignments in real games, which means the Chiefs' international development program is producing actual contributors, not just roster filler designed to satisfy a global initiative. This is the Chiefs being smarter than the competition through process, not luck. Now to a move that looked like subtraction, but is actually the opposite. Chandler Powell, a running back out of Central Arkansas, signed with the Chiefs on January 6th. He has now been waived. On the surface, that reads like a failed experiment. The reality is more deliberate than that. The Chiefs selected Emmett Johnson out of Nebraska in round 5, pick 161 of the 2025 NFL Draft. CBS Sports described Johnson as the perfect Andy Reid running back profile: quickness, contact balance, and pass-catching ability packaged into one player. Multiple undrafted running backs were also signed in the post-draft period. Powell was not cut because he failed. He was replaced because the Chiefs identified a better plan and executed it. Veach is making deliberate, surgical decisions in the backfield. Johnson fits Reid's system almost perfectly on paper, and the Chiefs now enter camp with multiple viable running back options competing for roster spots. This is the difference between a franchise that reacts and a franchise that builds. Kansas City is building. Here is where the Chiefs' 2025 draft class becomes a genuine story. CBS Sports analyst Josh Edwards went through Kansas City's picks and named wide receiver Cyrus Allen, out of Cincinnati, selected in round 5, pick 176, as the Chiefs' worst pick in the entire draft. That is the headline. Now here is the substance behind it. Edwards gave Allen a B-. He offered zero criticism of Allen's ability as a football player. His actual reasoning was straightforward. Allen is joining his 4th team, the transition won't be hard, and in Edwards' own words, being with Patrick Mahomes is a good spot if you want to outperform your draft spot. In 2025, Allen posted 51 catches, 674 yards, and 13 touchdowns at Cincinnati. He has drawn specific praise for route precision, separation ability, and red zone awareness. The analyst who called him the worst pick simultaneously provided a case for why Allen could outperform his draft position, playing alongside one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history. When your worst pick earns a B with no negative scouting notes attached, your draft class is elite. Compare that to what the rest of the class looks like. Peter Woods, a defensive tackle out of Clemson, received an A+ from analyst Mike Renner, who called him Chris Jones' eventual successor and described him as a quintessential 3 technique. Mason Thomas, an edge rusher out of Oklahoma, received a straight A grade and was praised specifically for pure pass rush ability. A draft class where the fifth-round receiver is the weakest link, and even he grades out at a B-, is exactly the kind of class that builds championship rosters. Which leads directly to the most urgent story on this list. Cameron Jordan is 36 years old. He played 15 seasons, every single one of them with the New Orleans Saints. This is the first time in his entire career that he has ever reached free agency. And what he did in his final season in New Orleans makes the fact that he is unsigned right now one of the most striking situations in the entire NFL. In 2025, Jordan recorded 10.5 sacks, 15 QB hits, and 2 forced fumbles across 17 starts. Over his career, he has posted double-digit sack totals in 7 different seasons. He has played in 243 of a possible 245 games, an Ironman record that defines what durability looks like at the professional level. 8 Pro Bowl selections. A career that, by any statistical measure, belongs in the conversation about the best defensive ends of his generation. And the Kansas City Chiefs are in the picture. Chris Jones publicly posted, Cam Jordan. On X, a direct, public recruitment from one of the most dominant interior linemen in the league. K. Adams, on Up and Adams, made a live and direct case. You can't have too many pass rushers if you want to win the Super Bowl. ESPN's Nate Taylor confirmed through a league source that the Chiefs are a legitimate destination for Jordan. Jordan himself appeared on The Set podcast and narrowed his list down to 3 teams. The timing of this potential signing is not incidental, it is urgent. Patrick Mahomes is recovering from a torn ACL. That means the Chiefs' defense must carry a heavier load in the early part of the 2026 season. A pass rusher with Jordan's experience and production does not require a learning curve. He knows every situation. He has seen every protection scheme. He walks onto a roster and contributes immediately. Plays Jordan alongside R. Mason Thomas, bringing speed off the edge. And Peter was holding the interior next to Chris Jones, plus George Karlaftis on the other side, and the Chiefs are fielding one of the most dangerous defensive fronts in the entire AFC. That is not a projection. That is what the roster looks like on paper with Jordan added to it. The Chiefs currently carry approximately $10 million in cap space. Restructuring the contracts of Jones and Humphrey creates additional room. This is a solvable financial equation. At least one other AFC team is actively monitoring Jordan's situation. This window is real, and it is closing. Here is what these 3 stories look like when placed next to each other. An extra roster spot, generated by an NFL International Player Exemption from a tackle, who already has 3 regular season starts on his resume. A backfield rebuilt with surgical precision, replacing a January signing with a 5th-round pick who fits Andy Reid's system as close to perfectly as any analyst has described. A draft class where the acknowledged weakest selection still earned a B- with no negative ability notes, while 2 other picks received grades of A+ and A respectively. And sitting unsigned in free agency, a 36-year-old, 8-time Pro Bowler who logged 10.5 sacks and 15 QB hits in 17 starts last season. A player Chris Jones is publicly recruiting. A player ESPN has confirmed the Chiefs are pursuing through a legitimate league source. A player who has already narrowed his options to 3 teams. Brett Veach has built rosters that won 4 Super Bowls. Every decision described here, the exemption, the backfield rebuild, the draft class, the Jordan pursuit, reflects the same organizational discipline that produced those championships. Will Cameron Jordan sign with the Chiefs before OTAs? And is Peter with the next Chris Jones? Or is that comparison getting ahead of the facts? Drop your answer below. There is also a rumored veteran wide receiver the Chiefs are evaluating to support the offense during Mahomes' recovery, a name that will surprise a significant portion of Chiefs Kingdom. That story is coming next.